Hi, before we get started, I'd just like to remind you that on my website there's all the information on my workshops, my online workshops, there's books and paintings and all that kind of stuff on there. So if you're interested in that, please do check it out. The link's in the description to the video. Okay, let's get on. In my previous video I was out painting outside down by the river. I'll pop the link up here on the screen if you haven't seen it. So I've taken those paintings, brought them back to the studio. Now I just want to have a little play around with them. As I do, I like to tear them up, do a bit of collage, try and find the interest within the work. Obviously when I'm working outside, I'm not trying to finish anything, and that's quite deliberate. I'm not trying to make finished pieces of work. I find it really useful and I get the best out of it when I'm just grabbing information while I'm outside, not thinking about making art, not thinking about making anything that you might want to just directly frame or exhibit in any way, just using it to gather the information while I'm outside. And I do all that thinking and the composition, everything back at the studio, and I find it just really useful to separate out the processes. I just get the most out of it that way. I know a lot of people enjoy sitting outside doing paintings from start to finish on the spot. Absolutely nothing wrong with that, of course, but I've done a lot of that in the past and I find that for me I get more out of it this way. So let's have a look at what I've got. Yeah, they stuck together a little bit on the way back, but you know, it's just the way it is. It doesn't really bother me that much because I'm going to be, you know, collaging, tearing into them. Some of these random marks can also be quite interesting, so I have no problem with that kind of thing. I did a few here. What have I got? Yeah, just trying to make a load of marks, getting the sense of the movement, the energy of the river flowing past me. You know, in the video for when I was painting outside, you can see that I got caught in a bit of a downpour. But actually, you know, at the time, you know, sometimes that can feel like, oh God, the weather's turned on me. It's all a bit of a disaster. I often find that those times when the elements kind of turn against you a little bit are actually when the best work comes out, because you're just a little bit more out of control. And everything's less passive and a bit more urgent. And I just find that sometimes those marks, those times when you're painting, when the wind's blowing the paper all over the place or the rain's hitting the paper, that's when the best things can happen. I know it sounds like I might just be saying that to make it sound like, oh, you know, you get out there and be genuine and all that kind of stuff, but I really think that sometimes that can be the case. Where the rain was hitting the river, I was getting these little, you know, the little splashes, concentric circles of the raindrops. And I was making marks about that. You know, if the rain and the hail hadn't come down, I wouldn't have seen that, wouldn't have done it. Here, where I was painting with quite thin paint, the marks that have been made by the rain hitting the paper are really nice. You know, I didn't make those marks, that was the rain hitting the paper, and it just made these little splashy marks on the page there. So those little things are a little bit out of control. Sometimes you just add a lot to it. So I'm going to have a go at collaging a couple of these together. As usual, I like to find one to start with, use one as a starting point, and then work into it. Again, I'm not trying to make a picture. I don't mind if it gets a bit removed from the subject, in the sense of, you know, pictorial kind of quality. If it gets a little bit more abstracted, it doesn't bother me at all. The interest for me is the energy, the colour, the light, the movement, all that kind of stuff, and not worrying about making any kind of sort of traditional idea of a picture. So this was nice. There's some really good stuff in here, and I actually quite like the way the paint's peeled off a little bit, where it got stuck together on the way back to the car. So I might start with that one. This has got some nice bits in it as well. Not sure. This was when the sun came back out again. It was a bit brighter. you can see there's quite a difference between where the light went a bit dark and the rain was really coming down. So this is quite energetic, and there's the little splashes all over it. And then after I'd finished filming, I did a bit more painting, and you can see the sun had come out and it's a bit brighter. But I like that. I like the fact that these sketches document what was happening at the time. Yeah, I think one of those early ones, I might leave those slightly lighter ones to later. Yeah, so I don't really feel like I've lost anything by doing that. I think it's quite a decent start. It just condenses it down a bit. Where it's been torn, I actually quite like some of it. I quite like these pieces here because the paint has kind of come off and it's created these sort of random highlights, which are rather nice actually. They have a sort of reflecty quality in the river, but this is a bit much here where it's lost quite a large piece of the paint has peeled off. So I'm trying to think about maybe using this piece. So I'll have a little play around with that and see if it will work. I think it will. I need a little bit of editing. It seems like quite a subtle difference between what was there before and what's there now, but it is a little bit more interesting. It's got a little bit more movement in it, and I quite like this tiny little bit of sort of sky blue that's coming in up there, just kind of echoes this down here, which I think is quite nice. So yeah, I don't really want to do too much more to that. I think I'm quite happy with the way it looks. I think it's got quite a lot of the feeling of what it was like when I was there down by the river. The movement, the energy, the way that the water was flowing over the weir and creating this kind of real kind of energetic splashy stuff going on. So I really feel like it's saying quite a lot about what it was like to be there. So that's really what I'm trying to get in all my paintings. They're not trying to be a picture of somewhere. They're trying to be a painting about somewhere and what it was like to be there. And I think those are quite different but important differences, you know. So yeah, I might put a few extra pencil marks in there, but that's really something I need to do once the glue is dried, because I find that when the glue is wet like this and the paper's still quite wet from the the glue being there, the pencil slides around too much and doesn't create the marks that I want. So I may leave that for a little bit, let it dry off, put a few pencil marks in and call it a day. So I think that's probably it for now. I'm going to carry on doing a few of these other ones and see where I get with them. Don't forget, if you want to check out my website for all that information on workshops, books, paintings and all that kind of stuff, then please do. And the link's in the description. Okay, see you soon.